Ralph White, and I'm an alcoholic. Thank you, T. Thank you, Ali. Um, Let me throw out my disclaimer already so then I get a pass from everybody tonight because we got a lot of people. Um, my face feels fat as I was in the dentist this morning from 9 to 2. 9 to 2. Somebody asked me, so are you still going to speak? You know what? Hypothetically, if I had gone to the dentist, hypothetically, because y'all know I wasn't seeing no dentist, and they had asked me, are you still going to get one? Really? I got to have one. So, you know, if I go into, am I still going to talk? If you guys have me, and if you can make out what I'm saying, and if um, sometimes speakers to me kind of take refuge behind, I'm not the one saying it anyway. God is putting words in my mouth. And so then I'm like, he put them in that's the ones he chose to put. So I'm not gonna hide behind that, you guys. I pray and I try to be directed, but you know what I'm saying? You get me. And that topic, I have seen this workshop from the beginning when Ali and Teresa embarked on it, and it always was well attended, and it has swelled and it has grown, and it has been, a testament to both of their spirits and both of their persistence. I listened to Ali at the front end of this deal, and Ali is a remarkable guy. I'm not going to blow smoke up your skirt, Ali, because you brought me here to speak on step 11. But I wanted to throw that shout out really quickly and maybe fold it into what we're going to talk about today. And the reason I was talking about how long ago these guys started putting this thing on, we've cycled so many people through here with so much uh, experience with this step. You would think, have they wrung all the juice out of it? Um, but because life is lived and not necessarily learned, there are lessons learned in life. You know what I'm saying? But you don't learn breathing. You don't learn, uh, eating. You learn how to pick up empathy. I mean, life is lived. And so I guess and that's why I like this workshop and the people putting it on, because it's not a classroom. It's not a lab exercise. It's been some people in here that have come through and share how this business of relationship with power has changed and transformed their life. And this idea of power and relationship, it doesn't happen at the 11th step. The 11th step, and I like to talk about the integration of these spiritual actions that we take. I like to talk about the synchronicity and how they go together. They're not standalone acts that we just do as a homework assignment. This business of prayer that I'm really going to focus on today. I'll talk about meditation too, but this business of prayer that we talk about has been from the very outset. We've talked about that um, extensively, and we start in the first formal prayer that I remember having an impact on me is third step, and I live on my third step. When I somebody calls me and we start going through some things, and invariably, I'll be led to say, well, have you lost your third step? Because I want something to be I want to control something. I want it to look and be the way that I think it should look and be. Even now, I was listening at the beginning, and my good friend Wes was talking and responding. And Wes was saying, uh, I'm doing, I'm paraphrasing, but I'm doing the best I can in this pandemic. And I miss the energy and I miss being with you guys for real. I miss the fellowship. Um, and in this season of grief and suffering, uncertainty and fear, um, financial insecurity, where do we go from here and how long are we going to be doing this? I like when this when in the 12 and 12, which I don't always reference as much as the big book, but in the 12 and 12, when it talked about the seasons of grief and suffering, when it seems that the hand of God is heavy, often unkind, and what's not included in the flyer is new lessons for living were learned, and new resources, of courage were uncovered. And I found in looking back, story of my life, and this pandemic best exemplifies that, in this season. When is it? And it feels like a long season, you guys. But I've been on this earth 67 years now. I've been with you guys longer than I haven't. Last year, I used to like to talk about I've been in AA 33 years and I'm 66 years old. So I have 33 years I mean BAA before AA and 33 years AAA after AA. Now, um, I'm 67 and I've been with you guys longer than I have. And in my life, I've gone through some stuff. I came to you at 33 years old and I was broken, and I came as the scoffer, the skeptic, the cynic. That's how I describe myself. You guys describe me as the agnostic because I had been raised in church and I had had an overdose of religious education, but I had never been a church guy and I had never been a religious guy. I had been a guy that was made to go under duress. So relationship with a power, while something I had always been encouraged to have, I never took that kind of encouragement or instruction because I didn't like the form that it came to me. You need to do this or you going to hell. You need to do this or you ain't living right. You ought to be like this and you ought to be like that. And I'm one of these people I'm too slick for that. I'm too sharp for that. I'm too smart for that. Yeah, because I grew up in Baptist church. You blue collar people, you ain't educated. You need somebody to tell you how to live. I'm growing up in a Baptist church, with hard working, either blue collar or to me, not well educated. And there were a lot of people that weren't that way, but I see through my eyes. And if it ain't my experience, then you lying about it being yours. So since I don't have the experience of Holy Spirit, Holy Ghost, relationship with God, when I saw people jumping and rolling around and speaking and talking, and I still have a tendency to roll my eyes at it. But when it ain't my experience, you lying about it being yours. So I never wanted an experience with a power like that. I never wanted an experience that's felt to me like goose stepping. I'm not one that eat in Alcoholics Anonymous, though people will think this is a really a society of conformity. What I find it is a fellowship and a program of freedom. It's I walk my own walk and I talk my own talk, and there's a lot that sounds like and it looks like to the untrained eye and coming in at first. This is about conforming and being. That's not my experience because I'm not a conforming guy. I'm still not a conforming guy, and it felt like there were a lot of constraints and in organized religion. So I go my merry way and I go through life, leading life like I do. I have some successes, which fuels this idea of self-sufficiency, which fuels this idea of if I can't get it done, it can't get done. So I'm a young guy. I'm running and I'm doing it hard in the paint. I'm drinking and using and I'm slick and I'm sharp and I'm doing parties and I'm at clubs and I'm having just the time of my life until I don't, because I got this thing that we suffer from. And it catches up to me, and it cuts me to ribbons. I like when Bill said, out of this alloy of drink and speculation, out of this combination of his thinking and his drinking, he would later forge a weapon that would turn on him like a boomerang and all but cut him to ribbons. And it turned on me, real tough, and so I get started in 71 in earnest. In 78 or 79, I'm suffering losses. In the early 80s, I'm clubbing, I'm big time, and I got money in my pocket, and my alcoholism was growing, and it was consumed by 82 or 83. It's consuming me now. It's my master, and I know it. By 84 and 85, ass whoop in tatters. 85, I first come to you. 86, I surrender. It surrenders me. And I come to you as a broken young man, 33 years old. And uh, and this idea, the first step, which we'll talk about some more tomorrow night, that first step experience, when I got to you guys and you put it in front of me, what that really looked like, that it's something physically different about me and mentally different about me, and that it's only one thing that can help me, and that's the spiritual. So you told me the problem, then you told me the solution to the problem, gave me the medicine, spiritual experience. I recoiled. You talk about recoiling as if from a hot flame at the stuff. I recoil from that as the solution, but ass whooped. Oops, and mine was out. My goose was cooked, you guys. And so, two things. One, I didn't have another solution. Two, I looked at you guys. I love when Ali talked about, because there was another element when Ali talked about people showing up so that events like this are successful. That's that's uh the icing. That's the icing. People showing up so that people can show up. People showing up so that people show up. And I don't know if it's the egg or the chicken, but because we show up is why we show up, and we give it to each other. If it's remarkable what happens when you put two of us together. So you know what that is. You know what it is when you put 454 of us together. There's a power that runs and courses through. And it's so amazing to me, it courses through even on Zoom. Even on Zoom. I'm a third step guy. I'm not a guy that cries about why we gotta be on Zoom. We on Zoom. Why we get to be on Zoom. Why do we get to be on Zoom? Do you know right now there are some people that are not like us? Now, my mama has a fellowship. My mama's in her back room, and I hear her hollering. She hollering like she in church on Zoom with the church people. But there are a lot of disconnected people, and they scared as hell in the pandemic. Because when it's Tuesday and they don't get to go out, and sometimes I see why they venture out because they're stuck and they isolated and they feeling like, man, when is this gonna be over? We feeling like that, but we ain't feeling like that with them, because we just jump on a meeting. I can go to Toronto, I can go to Minnesota, I can go to New Jersey, I can go to Australia, I can go to London, I can go to my home group, I can go where I want to go. This business, so you know, us together. And so I came to you. And the reason why I took the medicine was just like a little kid seeing my big brother take it. And even though he scrunched his face up at first and he been coughing and okay, he does it. He's better. I see you guys take it. I can do it. And you make it not only look like it's what I need to do, you make it look attractive. And for a guy like me, I needed to look attractive. Not everybody do. It's a lot of people that can come in and they like that, doom or gloom. God damn it, work these steps or die. But me, the medicine needs to look at. I'm that shallow, you guys. And you make it look attractive, and you make it look appealing, and you make it look accessible. And so I started on that path, and I said I got on my knees in the third step. And here's the deal about if you're gonna have a third step, and if you're gonna turn your will and your life over, you don't turn your will and your life over by saying I'm gonna turn my will and my life over. I turn my will and my life over by turning it over. What does that mean, and what did that look like? I turned it over by first taking a look at it. Call that an inventory. and I looked at it in big ways. I looked at my, resentments with people. I looked at, the kind of how the world had been bigger than me and dominated me, and how I always felt like things were coming down on me, and how it seemed like it was everybody else's fault. And I'm not a complaining guy by nature. Some people inventory is even more revealing than others, but I'm on the low. I'm on the low with the slow grade kind of resentments about life, and how, and so, but sex conduct and fears, oh my God, those two for a guy like me were, mind blowing. So first, this turning over process, this wiping the window so that I can see what's blocking me from this power, takes place when I do inventory. Then the next piece, here's me. I'm a hiding guy. I'm a shy guy. I'm a scary guy. I'm a shame-based guy sometimes, and I don't tell. I don't tell on myself. No, 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 no. But I sit down with somebody and I tell on myself. And that's a big one for me, because what I think you think about me is big. Image is big for me. Being in charge of how you see me is big for me. And so I do that. And for the first time, I had felt like I was a member the minute I came in and was in a home group and you guys took me. But now I feel like I'm really in recovery. Unintended consequence of that fifth step. I'm really doing what you guys do. And remember me, I think if it ain't my experience, you lying about it being yours. Now that I had the experience, I know people do fifth steps. So this idea of getting close to this power, removing what's blocking me from this power, so I'm doing that. And then I take that and it's some stuff I see in the fifth step. And I take it to my my 6 and 7. And I immediately look at 6 and 7. I don't look at them. I start addressing what I see in 6 and 7 by writing it down and going knee to knee and eye to eye and looking at some people and making some stuff right. And so now I got a new area code. We call it the realm of the spirit. We call it sometimes the book describes it as the fourth dimension of existence. A lot of good stuff happens there. You know, a lot of daddy stuff happens in the fourth dimension. A lot of husband stuff happens in the fourth dimension. A lot of son stuff happens in the fourth dimension. A lot of employee stuff happens in the fourth dimension. A lot of showing up when you say you're going to show up shows up in the fourth dimension. Sitting in the car with your baby girl on the side and you shaking because you almost ran into a pole and you realize daddy's giving his girl her first driving lesson. That's fourth dimension. Changing a diaper for your mother, fourth dimension stuff takes place, and you realize you in it. You the person that you never thought you'd be, And so then you tempted to think, I'm cool, I'm straight, I'm good. I'm experiencing some stuff, some grown man stuff. Oops, but I'm still me. I still get mad. I still trip out. I still get prickly. I still get, and people, it's people in here. If I could scroll through, I'd use more people as examples because I know I got a lot of friends on here. But people know I still, Ralph still shows up. Ask Ali, get in my orbit. I'm 34. I'm still prickly. I'm still arrogant. I'm still stubborn. I'm still controlling. I'm still gotta have the last word. I'm still that guy. We got something for you, Mr. Still that guy. We call it a 10th step. When you crop up, look at yourself. And then we got a trap for when you don't look at yourself in the moment. Oh, okay, you didn't look at yourself in the moment. Take your ass home and review how you did that day. It's better when you review it. Now the book alludes to it. Our experience shows us it's better, you guys, when we start taking that look, that we don't grade our own report card. That's why we have sponsors. That's why 34 years sober, I'm still sponsored by Bob B out of St. Paul, Minnesota. Because we don't grade our own report card. And the reason we don't grade our own report card, you guys, is not necessarily because I always give myself passing marks. Sometimes I sit up and expect more of me than I have come, than I am. And that's a kind of spiritual arrogance. How could you do this? How could you not? Who I think I am? I trip. I ain't exempt from being, yeah, I run my mouth too much. I get in people's business too much. Yeah, I can get messy sometime. I can still get grimy, and so you do that 11th step. And then I look at my day, review my day constructively, because, I have a tendency to overreact to everything. Not only do I want to be the best something, I think I'm the worst. I heard a speaker one time, and then ain't, I'm the, and I'm the sorriest. No, you're not. No, you garden variety sorry. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gotta be top of the list, gold medal sorry. And so then I get into this 11th step, you guys, and I finally got there. And this business of prayer, I've been here before, talking about the 11th step, and this business of prayer, which is consistent. You know what dawns on me? Why prayer is either effective or ineffective. Way back when we were talking about the second step, uh, I decided something. And a lot of you guys have made that decision too. We have to revisit it. I made a choice. God everything or God nothing. I choose God. I choose God. Some people want to go, for years, I wanted to see, is there something in the middle? Can God be some things? I want to share with you guys after 34 years of doing this with you, and after 67 years of looking back on my life, and everything, nothing. I choose God. I chose nothing for a long time. I chose me, and it don't feel like I'm choosing God as nothing. It feel like I'm choosing Ralph as everything. But either God is everything. I choose God. I don't, it ain't a debate or a discussion or why. That's what I choose. I don't know what you choose. I choose God. I choose God because it allows me to get up in the morning. I choose God because when it's days when I can't see my way through, it allows me to get up in the morning. I choose God because at 20 years, after a 20-year marriage blew up, and I sat in my car one day with my daughter getting out there. All I wanted to be, you guys, some of you had heard it before. My dad, I didn't have a daddy. I didn't have one. I had one, but he was absent. Oh, I wish we had time, because there's a story in that. I did have one, and we ended up connecting. I don't get to talk about me and my dad that much, but he was absent. And my earliest memory, you guys, was my earliest thought of alcoholism was my daddy was an alcoholic, and I don't want to be like him. And I made that a vow, and but I turned out with this thing, because I don't get to choose that. I don't get to make that call. But all I wanted to do was be a dad. I wanted a nuclear family. I wanted a house with mama and daddy and kids in the house. And I did it. I had had a daughter from my first marriage, and she was 2.5 when I got sober. And through this power of amends, me and her mom got back together in the sense of, and turned into best friends. And our relationship got so tight, we were living a couple of blocks from each other. And her mom moved to Sacramento, and Rain stayed with me and Lisa. So Rain was in the house, Lisa had a son, and then we had a baby. We had 3 kids and a mama and a daddy in the house. And we had a AA house, and daddy went to work, and mom did some work. I didn't do work if she didn't want to. And it was so big on me, uh, to be a provider and to be a dad. Uh, but I show up, and I be the way I am, and I have stuff that goes on, and make decisions based on. And pretty soon, and after a series of things happen, including not saving money right, and making money, not doing it anyway, we blow up. And I remember the day, uh, that they took my house in front of everybody. And it had been a rocky season. Took my house. We had still been riding over, but since we were breaking up, didn't fight for the house. They took it. We had to move. And Lisa went to stay with her sister, and I went to stay on a buddy's couch before I went to stay with Strange, my boy Strange, and River. Rain was in college at the time or law school. I can't remember which one. I don't feel like thinking about it right now. And I took River to her godparents, two good members of Alcoholics Anonymous, the best godparents in the world. And I sat outside that house that night, and saw her. I walked to the porch, and then I went back to the car, and I saw her at the door looking back. And my heart broke. I felt like a failure. In the room, I'm 22 years sober. Um, I sat outside for 45 minutes sobbing. Out of every season of suffering and grief, when the hand of God seems heavy, maybe even unjust. New lessons were learned. I got a friend, and he says, ain't no mistakes. And if you in a dark place, and if you in the hole, if you can't see your way out, you made some decisions and you regret them right now. Stuff has happened in the pandemic that's out of your control, and you say, God, why me? Lost one, lost a loved one. I lost a boy this morning, lost two of my best friends in the last couple of months. And you're feeling like, why me? I'm here to share with you something. I'm here to share there's growth in the valley. I'm here to share the power of prayer, the power of the power. And the thing about prayer in the valley, the thing about prayer in the dark, the thing about prayer with tears, the thing about prayer when I'm hurting, it seems to me that prayer may not always change things for me, but it'll always change me for things. And when it changes me for things, and I persist, and I don't leave the game, I don't get out the game. Here's the important stuff, you guys. I stay in the middle. I lean into Alcoholics Anonymous. I don't leave the pack. I don't take my hand out the hand. This old dude, Franklin Williams, that used to share, I never met him. I heard his tapes. And Franklin Williams used to say, I can run out of money. I can run out of friends. He said, I can even run out of hope. He said, but I can't run out of God. I can't. Not I won't, I can't. I can't run out of God. If I stay in the game, you guys, and persist. I heard a couple of speakers over the last couple of months when they've had, and some common themes about 11 step, consistency, persistency. And when I persist, see, don't think I'm gonna learn the lesson when I'm in the classroom. That's not necessarily when it's gonna come for me, but when I put my hand in the hand of the power, because I'm gonna share some stuff with you, as a result of that. I have a friend that says ain't but two things, that lessons and blessings. That's it. Lessons and blessings. That's it. And a lot of times it's both. Now I may not see them both at the same time, but a lot of times it's both. There have been remarkable results, and they talk about resources of courage, but it talk about lessons learned. You know, uh, I thought, I thought that in that time, I never would be the kind of dad that I wanted to be to my daughter. Go see River. Go see her. Go ask her. Go talk to Rain. I'm not blowing my own. I'm not out of every season. It may look different how it's going to present. Daddy and might look different. Father might look different. It may not be, and I'm still not saying it's the prescribed way, but I guarantee you God will write straight with crooked lines. It may not be the way that you thought it was going to be, but if I keep my hands in the hands of this power, you guys, I'm leaving the book right now. I'm leaving the 12 and 12, and I'm leaving the big book, and I'm gonna talk about how the 11th step looks like in real life for a getting on his knees guy every single when you get, because I also have moments, the 12 and 12, I'm gonna go back to it, even though I said I wouldn't. The 12 and 12 sometimes alludes to the fact that, and there are times, you guys, when I'm seized with a rebel, I ain't gonna pray. I'm not gonna pray. I can't pray. I refuse to pray. I'm out of that for a minute. Here's my deal. I've stopped practices in my 34 years. I've let up on praying sometimes, and on formal praying. When I look back, I don't think I've ever stopped. Uh, I have had moments where I've been pissed off. Uh, but since I got on my knees in the third step the very first time, since before getting on my knees, the very first time I decided he's everything, I don't think I've come off that. I think the way I see it metaphorically, I look at it like God has given me this, there's this big house, right? There's this house, and sometimes I run in my room, but I don't never leave God's house. Sometimes I run in my room and I cry in the corner. No, I can't stand you. No, but I ain't never left his house, like my daughters. And the cold thing about that, you guys, my daughters, because they know they daddy, they know they got enough room. My stepson, they know they got enough room and enough freedom and enough and that they are open to say, Daddy, I can't stand you. And daddy ain't gonna react like, and daddy ain't gonna say, okay, I can't stand you either. I'm out of here. Now, in the moment, I have sat up and said, do what you want to do now. I've done, but God ain't daddy. That's the best. Even though I analogize God to daddy, God ain't that. Because as daddy, I still sometimes retaliate. I still sometimes I don't never stop being daddy. See, God don't stop being daddy, but he don't have the other features in it. He don't have he don't pout inside of it like I do. He don't tit for tat like I do. He don't keep score. Damn it, I'm the one that put the food on this table. How you gonna sit up and he don't do none of that stuff. Uh, but in these seasons, of grief, and so I learn lessons. Talk about being rebellious about prayer. At that same time, you guys, I'm gonna share this piece with you. A lot of you have heard it before. I was going to speak at a meeting that I was in O'Hare Airport. Couldn't pray. Could not pray. Wasn't trying to pray. I'm crying in O'Hare Airport because I got a call from my college roommate. He was doing good. It made me really feel bad about the way I was now because I'm measuring myself up against him. I'm in self-pity. I'm in despair. I'm in self-loathing. I'm in resentment. I am full of all the grace blockers. I can't pray, ain't trying to, but I got trained feet. This is what I want to share with you guys about training your feet. This business of prayer. I call my boy. I either call my sponsor. I got a lot of close my friends. I call Stan. I'm crying on the phone to him. And this is what I learned about prayer. Not only the power of prayer, but the power of being surrounded by prayer. If anybody's new in this deal and you thinking, this dude is talking, he been doing this thing for 34 years. Of course he got a relationship with God. Of course he got a relationship with the power. Plus he want to. Seem like he liked that. Trust me, that ain't how it was when I came. I didn't come up in there walking toward the light. I came up in there running from the fire, and I got enough and I put my hands in there, but I put my hands in the hands of praying people. So even before I had the connection, but I come from that stock. You know what you got? I come from that. When we were out there drinking and smoking, me and my brothers, every now and then mom would catch all of us, because we were all staying at the house. But we would be outside all night. And when moms go to work, we come up in the house. And every now and then she'd catch us. And she might put three of us in a circle. And my mama, we'd hold hands. And my mama is a praying lady, you know. y'all in here, I ain't even tripping with you. My mama, as if there's a scale for praying, I'm acting like it's one because my mama she's a praying lady. And it didn't seem that it was enough. It seemed like prayer may not change things. But all these many years later, yesterday my mom turned 91. And on her 91st birthday, in 1985, when she was holding hands with them 6 sons, and it would be pieces of us. I don't think she ever got all 6 at one time. And she was praying. And it didn't look like no change was going to come in her life. Yesterday, when she turned 91, full house, not physically here, but all her sons out the cold, out the woods, you know, seasons of grief. And it seems that the hand of God is heavy or unjust. I can think of no person who went through that. It's not reserved to us. It's reserved to prayer. When it's seen that. And if you finish that part, it'll talk about when you come out the back end, you'll be one of them people that talks about prayer changes things. God works in mysterious ways. Because although it may not seem like he changes the things in the moment, he changes me for the things. And then he seems like he changes the things. I embrace this pandemic. I embrace all of this. Now, I don't embrace the fact that I got people that's losing loved ones, including me. My boy Marvin Boyce went yesterday. That's another one of my boys, COVID, you know. Um, but just to the extent we play the role he assigns, does he enable us to match calamity with serenity? So this business of prayer, and I've been disconnected a little bit lately. I haven't been doing every single morning. I've been jumping up because I've been staying up late, you guys. I've been staying up, can't sleep. Don't know if it's old man, don't know if it's what. I'm sleep in the chair, and then when I get in, I fall asleep in the chair watching. When I get in the bed, wide awake. 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. So now I got an appointment at 9. I had an appointment at 9 this morning. Jump up, full disclosure. I don't have a chance to do meditation, but I'm the kind, and so uh, and enough of that, and you start feeling disconnected and disjointed and so there's also the reason I point that out is because it really shows me the contrast. Because if it wasn't the contrast, why do it? If you didn't get benefits from doing it, why do it? And so this is I've made a commitment in myself because this has probably been like, and for me, if I go 3 days out of a week and I don't get to do that, I'm reporting. I'm reporting. I can tell. I can see it. I can see it. So you guys, I don't know. We're the personification. All of us here had a long, long, long season of suffering and grief. All of us had a season that looked different than everybody else's. Some people had a season that was 40 years. Some people had a season that was 12 years. Some people had a real quick, short season. But all of us had a season of suffering and grief. And we found our way to a place like this. And we found ourselves, if you anything like me, in the prayer position. And the best way that I stay I'll see you, T. Teresa, I like that. Teresa just suddenly gets in my face and say, okay, dude, you're running your mouth too much. I got you. But the best way that I know for God is everything, if I'm not talking, if I'm not consistently in that 11th step, improving, engaging, and in conscious contact well, it don't matter that I say it with my mouth, you know. He slowly drifts away and he's nothing, you know. And so the when you talk about that second, God is everything, the way that we uh, exemplify that and the way we manifest that and the way we keep that true in our life, this business of prayer and meditation. You know, my name is Ralph White and I am an alcoholic, and I thank you uh, for listening.